All right, I'm live. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Bless Roxwell, and this is the Rebel Camps platform. I'm so honored. Ocean asked me to come through and do my healing paradox workshop presentation. You can call it what you want to call it. But it's a great amount of information about this journey of healing because that's the journey we're all on, correct? So shouts out to the Rebel Camp. Shouts out to everybody that's in the Rebel Camp. Y'all make me so proud. I love that you are leaning into this space of healing and self-actualization and all of those things. So my name is Bless Roxwell, and I will be your host for this presentation. This presentation is called The Healing Paradox. Why? Because in a nutshell, it hurts to heal. Right. And it's important that you know that. And it's important that you know what you're going to be faced with, what challenges you might be faced with. It's a little weird because I don't know if I should be looking at my camera or if I should be like looking at like myself. But anyway, I'm going to disappear in a minute because I have a whole PowerPoint presentation that is going to break down the paradox of healing, the challenges you will face, the things you may encounter. Oh, they're so wonderful. The different ways that you may prevent yourself from healing. This is really important. We're going to get into it. So I am the founder and owner of a company called Life Beam Energetics. I do get a little bit into it in the presentation, but basically I'm a Reiki master, teacher, and practitioner. I am what's called an expansion coach, which is not a life coach because I ain't here to tell nobody how to live their life. I am here to tell you how to change your mind, right? Because mindset, in my opinion, determines our life. So I can teach you how to change your mind. So I'm a mindset coach. And with that, I do a lot of work with purpose and helping people uncover their purpose. So I have a program called Walk Into Your Purpose, and expansion, right? And expansion is really about dreaming really, really big, allowing yourself to fall in love with that dream. That's actually part of the healing journey, because a lot of times we don't let ourselves do that. And it's also about integration and learning how to transmute our experiences into service. Okay, so that they can serve us instead of us being at the mercy of them. So that's in a nutshell expansion coaching. Around about 2015, in 2012, I had this huge spiritual awakening. I spent 20 plus years as a rapper. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore because it's so ego-based and I don't have, my ego is not there like that anymore because I had this huge spiritual awakening in 2012, which the closest thing I can liken it to is a Kundalini awakening. And it is a very much demarcation point in my life. So there was a pre-bless and a post-bless. This experience. And that was the experience that set me on this path of healing. So around about 2015, I realized there's some paradoxes here because you're like, oh, I want to heal. I want to feel good. I want to feel better. And oh my gosh. And then you're like, wait, this hurts. This doesn't feel that good. What's happening? Right. So I was like, all right, I need to hit people to the fact that this is what they might experience because I was experiencing it and I was like, what is going on? So since then, it has expanded, it has deepened. The workshop has deepened because I've learned more. I'm in a graduate program for mental health and wellness counseling now. So I'm about to be somebody's therapist, licensed mental health counselor. Again, coaching for years, 3 years of coaching, 3 years of working with energy as being a Reiki master. It's taught me a lot about how people approach their healing, how they respond to the challenges that they encounter on their healing journey. And it all the more makes me want to present the healing paradox to you so that you can have an awareness, right, of what may come up for you. Okay, so that being said, we are going to get started. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, which means I'm going to disappear for a minute, but you'll be able to hear my voice. And we will take questions at the end if there are any. So, ready? Here we go. Yay. I love technology. All right. So here we are, the healing paradox. I'm going to just take it from the top. Okay. So, Life Beam Energetics. All right. So I am, as I just said, an expansion coach, Reiki master teacher. I have a bachelor's in applied psychology from undergrad, and I'm, again, a master's program for mental health and wellness counseling. So this time next year, I'll be a licensed mental health counselor in addition to everything else that I'm doing. So at Life Beam Energetics, just to tell you a little bit about the company, we want you to thrive on this journey. Okay, so we approach healing and working with clients is in a holistic way, about experiencing life, the full spectrum of life. All right, it's not about spiritual bypassing or being like, oh my God, I just have to think positive thoughts. No, that's not what this is about. This is about real human things. Okay, so this is the company I founded was on the belief that when we are living in alignment with our purpose, right? And when we choose to intentionally and consciously self-actualize and make our healing a priority, we're actually raising the collective love and vibration of the planet. So this is how we heal the planet. This is my theory, right? That it's like a ripple effect. So the same way negativity and pain and suffering seem to be viral, like they can be caught by other people. There's actually research that shows that positive love, compassion, empathy, those things are transmittable as well. And so I would hope that we can raise the empathy level and compassion level on this planet, because it really, really does have a ripple effect. So we use integrative wellness techniques, life purpose coaching, Reiki healing, guided meditations. We're here to pull out all of the stops and anything we can do to support you on your healing journey. Okay. All right, let's get started. Playing defense, self-defense. How many of you have known the workaholic? They are hardworking. They are dedicated. They pull all-nighters. They forsake love. They forsake life, living all of it, and even their own health at times. But the question is, are they working that hard out of love or fear? Because there's a difference. And that motivating factor is very important. So are they working that hard because it's just so fulfilling that they don't want to stop? That would be me. Even when I want to stop, I can't, because I just love doing this shit so much. Or do you feel like you can't stop because there's a fear that you will be considered a failure, or you won't be successful, or you'll be homeless, or your family will hate you, or whatever it is? You can't stop. That's the difference. Okay. The party animal. I'm a little old now, so I don't really have as many party animals in my life as I used to, but I know these people well, because in a past life, I was in the music industry. So the party animal knows all of the best parties. They're always out and about. They're always socializing. They are tons of fun to hang out with. I don't know why that says not, but they're tons of fun to hang out with. But the question is, are they actually living their life to the fullest, right? Living their best life, or are they escaping their reality? Because again, there's a difference. When the party is over and they go home, are they at peace within themselves? Or are they lonely? And that's why they're constantly seeking stimulation as a means to not deal with themselves. Okay. And it begs the question of why someone would not want to embrace their healing journey. Why would they do that? I mean, wouldn't you want to not be in pain? Wouldn't you want to not be ashamed? Wouldn't you want to not be scared? Wouldn't you want to not have imposter syndrome? Wouldn't you want to not have all of these things, right? Right. So why would someone not want to do these things? Honey, the reasons are as idiosyncratic and as endless as human beings. Some of them include that it's not time for them. This is actually the hardest one for people to embrace, especially when you love someone and you're watching them on their journey. Sometimes it is not time for them because their way of being is actually serving them right now on their journey. So while it may be hurting you, it may be hurting the people around them, it may be something that you just cannot bear to watch, this is their journey, and they're on their journey, and it's serving them. Another reason is that pain can become habitual. Okay, and breaking that habit requires deep, deep, deep commitment. So we're going to get more into this later, but when we say habitual, we really I actually really mean that you can develop a habit around feeling pain. And when you're not feeling it, you'll go out and create some so that you can feel it, because it's a habit. It's a need. But at the core of a lot of these reasons is fear. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of success. It's fear of failure. It's fear of starting the crying and never stopping, the emotional tsunami. I mean, the list just, it goes on and on and on. You know, there's all kind of reasons why someone would not want to heal or would not want to even begin to heal. Because I'm definitely not here to minimize this process. Okay. Uncovering, digging, all of those things can really hurt. They can. All right. But we'll get to why it's worth it later. All right. So you've decided that you're ready to heal. You're like, you know what? F that. I'm good. I'm Gucci. I want to do this. I want to heal and embrace my healing journey. So 1, 2, 3, let's go. Wait. Challenges. Okay. So these are just 3 things that might come up for you on your healing journey. Your ego. I'm going to tell you straight up right now, it's a sneaky bastard. Ooh, I'm not a proponent of killing the ego. I don't believe in killing the ego. We need our ego. Our ego is what makes us want nice things. And we deserve nice things, right? So the ego is what makes you not want to be disrespected by someone. You know, the ego is what makes you helps you to remember your worth, you know? So we're not here to kill the ego, but we want to balance the ego because, you know, the ego is actually supposed to be serving us, and it doesn't want us to feel pain. It doesn't want to feel pain. It doesn't want to die. It has a real sort of black and white thinking where it's like, oh my God, if my human goes to do this, I'm going to die. So that's why we have to balance the ego. We have to manage it. All right. We're going to come back and talk more about that. But questioning the self can hurt, and it can cause that deep pain to come to the surface. And that can make the ego be like, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like this. So it'll sneak up all kinds of like sneaky thoughts that can stop your healing growth journey. Okay. Because it doesn't like that. Forgiveness. Ooh, this is a big, big, big one. We're going to spend time on all 3 of these. But why are you continuing to give space in your mind, heart, and spirit to the person or circumstance that hurt you? That's really what forgiveness is about. Okay. And again, like I said, we're going to come back to this. And then trauma. This is the mind-body connection. Okay. This is where we were talking about pain being a habit. And yes, even down to the cellular level. Because when we own our pain and we allow it to form an aspect of our identity, it becomes that much harder. And I will talk more about this later. It becomes harder to release it. Okay. All right, let's start. Here we go. Let's see if I can hide that. All right. Oh dear. Oh no. Okay, hold on. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's start over. Okay. So we can't hide that. Good to know. So challenge the ego. So this is kind of what can happen in the process. You question the self. And you say, why do I feel this way? I want to not feel this way. And that leads you to questioning why you feel this way, why you may have made the choices that you've made, why you made that decision that you made. And in doing those things, you are acknowledging that there is a need for healing an aspect of the self, which means that there's a problem, that something hurt you and there's a wound that needs to heal. And Acknowledging that there's a wound that needs to heal means that you are also acknowledging that you've been walking around in pain. And why would you do that? If you love yourself, why would you have been walking around in pain all these years and not have taken the time to do it? Okay. And this is the first challenge, because this leads to the shutdown. Why didn't you try to fix it earlier? Why didn't you want to fix it earlier? This is where the ego jumps in to say, you were not wrong. You, whatever, you didn't have to heal. What are you even talking about healing? You don't need to heal. What do you mean you need to fix something? You don't need to fix anything. You thought you were wrong, but you weren't. That kind of thing. Okay. It kicks in to protect you from yourself and from the idea that you were wrong or you did something wrong by ignoring your wounds. Okay. So this is what I mean when I say that I'm not here to say kill the ego. Your ego wants to support you. It wants you to have the very best of everything and never be in pain. Unfortunately, that's unrealistic. Okay, that's not how this three-dimensional plane of duality existence works. So we need to manage the ego and we need to be in charge. Okay, I heard a great analogy one time that was like, the ship, the brain, the mind. Okay, the captain. The ship is life. You have your brain, you have your mind. Okay, your brain, you can call it, your navigator. Your mind will be your first lieutenant. But you are the captain. You are the one driving the ship, right? You are the one that's like, this is which way we're going. Navigator's not doing it because they're navigating. You're telling them which way to go. You're like, I want to go here. They're like, okay, this is how we get here. Brain is not doing it, right? Mind is not doing it. You are the one that is in charge of where the ship goes. But sometimes the ego mind can jump up and say, no, I don't want to go that way because it's going to hurt. And if you are not aware of what's happening, then you won't go that way. And the ego will be in charge. But you are not your ego. You are in charge. Your ego, your mind is your first lieutenant. Okay. The ego challenge continued. It has issues, admitting it's not perfect, admitting you're not perfect. It wants to protect you, give you all the best things. What do you perceive as yourself at all times, even when what you're doing is detrimental to yourself, like not acknowledging the wound. It doesn't want you to feel pain ever. It doesn't want to ever feel pain either. And it does not want to even pretend that it's dying. And so, yeah, it will keep you from even having any sort of self-realization unless you balance it. So acknowledging the wound is to accept the cause of the wound, that it was a person that we love very much, and this person hurt us, and we had to love them very, very much, or they wouldn't have been able to hurt us. Okay, a circumstance that didn't go your way, or our own inability to rise to the occasion. Okay, any of those things can be the cause of the wound, and there's an infinite list, right? But the goal is to acknowledge it. The goal is to not judge self for not having done it sooner. Because the reality is that you are exactly where you are supposed to be on your journey. There is no sooner, right? If we really want to go there, we actually only have the present moment. So in this present moment, you can choose to A, acknowledge the wound, B, give yourself grace for not acknowledging it before. I'm coming to a space of understanding that grace is the balm of the ego. It soothes it. Okay? We don't give ourselves enough grace. So as you embark on your healing journey, I want you to give yourself all of the grace. All of it. You are a human being. You are not omnipotent. Nobody is. There's no rule that said you needed to know all of this before. Okay? All right. Acknowledge, accept, release. Do you see this picture of this woman? Doesn't she just look like, oh my gosh, I feel so good? Oh my gosh, you guys, listen, it feels amazing when you finally say, oh, I am not carrying this shit with me anymore. I'm not carrying this with me anymore. I am acknowledging that it is here. I am accepting that it happened. And damn it, I am releasing it because I no longer wish it to have control over me. But how, Bless? How? All this sounds so good, but how? So, forgiveness. Now, this is a real touchy subject with people because for some reason, people equate forgiveness with giving another person power. When in fact, forgiveness is actually reclaiming of your power. Because the reality is that person, if they are still hurting you, then I want you to get away from them and I want you to find some help. Okay? But if it is a situation that is over, is done, is finished, why are you still holding on to it? Why are you still carrying it? It's taking up space in you. It might don't be taking up space in the other person. It's only taking up space in you. Usually forgiveness is around, let me take that back. One of the emotions that can very much be present, and I want to make sure I touch on this because it's not in this presentation or the slide. One of the emotions that can be present when we are challenged with forgiveness is anger. Okay. Anger, however, is a secondary emotion. It's not a primary emotion. It's a secondary emotion. And it's usually masking something else. Now, if you're following the Rebel Camp post, you probably saw me post the Thich Nhat Hanh quote, parable, what have you, about the monk meditating in the boat and realizing that anger is in him and other people are an empty boat. Okay, if you don't know who Thich Nhat Hanh is, he is a monk that escaped Vietnam after being persecuted. He escaped during the Vietnam War and has not gone back. It's probably gone back since now, right? But couldn't go back for a really long time. And so he's known suffering and he's known loss. And that's why I find quotes by him about anger or loss or suffering to be really, really profound. Because most of us in this Western world don't know that level of loss and suffering. Okay. And so that's why I think it's really powerful that he has that perspective. That being said, I want to also acknowledge that righteous anger has a place. It is absolutely okay to be angry about the injustices of the world. Okay, because I don't want nobody to not be angry about the way that people of color are treated in this world. We should be angry about that, right? But we need to be very clear about what emotions are at play underneath our anger. This is very important to forgiveness. Because if you're harboring anger and holding on to it and you're not going deeper to understand what the emotion is behind it, you're not able to really forgive that person because you're not really digging deep into how they made you feel and the wound that they gave you. Okay. So if behind your anger is fear, right? So when Black people get angry about police brutality, our fear is that we're going to be killed at the hands of the police. That's why we're angry. You see how that works? The actual emotion is fear. The emotion that presents is anger, right? So we want to dive behind that anger. Is it hurt? Did that person hurt you? Okay. So step one, forgive the person and or accept the circumstance that hurts you. So if this was a person, then you need to realize they were human, are human, just like you. This is a challenge. One of the biggest shifts that my clients experience is when, and this is both my counseling clients and my coaching clients, is when they are able to see the adults in their lives as human and understand that this was not some all-powerful, all-knowing God or goddess that hurt you. This was a regular human that hurt you. I don't know if that somehow puts it in perspective, but it helps to understand, because as kids, we see adults as just omnipotent, and they're not. We're adults now. That means the children in our lives are looking at us that way. How do you feel about that? Right. So they were human just like you, and it does not make their actions or the choices that they made okay. It doesn't. You're not condoning their actions or choices by forgiving them. All right. You are creating space for you. You are creating space inside you. You are kicking them out because they have been, I love this phrase, right? Living rent free, right? You are kicking them out so that you can have space for you, right? Because that's what this is about. That's what it's about. They don't win if you forgive them. You ain't even got to tell them that you forgave them. They don't even have to know, right? You just need to create the space. When you create the space, when you release it, when you say, okay, I'm not keeping you inside of my soul anymore. You don't deserve to be there. Okay? And you say, you know what? I wish you healing. Okay? You will be shocked at how good that feels, how liberating that feels to kick them out of your spirit, and to not kick them out in malice, but to kick them out, it's going to sound weird, in love. Okay? That's for another workshop though. Okay. Same thing with a circumstance. It's over. It happened and it cannot be undone. Okay? So don't let it take up any more space in you. You deserve that space. You deserve that space. Whew, child, the divine. People get angry with the divine. I can't blame you, because it's not like you can get a direct phone call to understand what happened, right? So you got to forgive your creator if you're harboring that. And, you got to forgive yourself, like we talked about. So you hid from it. You ignored it. You numbed it. Smoking, working, drinking, what have you, right? You did all of those things. And it didn't work. And that's okay. That's really, really okay, because you're a human being. This is a learning journey that we're on. Nobody has all the answers. There are no gurus, damn it. There are no gurus. There's no one that is coming to save you. There's no one that is going to be able to tell you, oh my gosh, I'm so confused. Make it all make sense for me. You are learning. Here comes the grace. Give it to yourself, because you're learning. Okay? We're all learning. Forgiveness. Ooh, when we do humanize those people, we are able to see how fragile, how precious, how special we all are. We are all just out here trying to figure it out. We're all out here trying to figure it out. All right? And when you realize that, even those people in your life that you were like, no, you were supposed to know. They were supposed to know, but they didn't. Any more than you do now as an adult on this presentation. Okay? So it allows us to step into a place of compassion for other people while they're on their journey. All right. Woo, and now we get to the good part. This is the part that makes me excited. So this is the other challenge. It's the last challenge we're going to talk about for today. Mind, body, internalized pain. There's an excellent book. It's not an easy read. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Now, you see the emotional pain chart, right? As a Reiki master, teacher, healer, person, in metaphysical medicine, the idea is that the physical manifestation of something is usually the last manifestation of something. And you have time to work with your energy and your aura and your energetic signature, right? To work and purge those things from your energetic signature before they affect your body, right? So let's get into it. I don't know how many of you have heard of epigenetics, but when we hear people talk about generational trauma, this is kind of what they're talking about. So epigenetics is the idea that our world, our experiences literally change our DNA. Okay? Literally change it. So if you are someone who is experiencing trauma regularly, it will be reflected in your DNA. In The Body Keeps the Score, Dr. van der Kolk talks about how trauma is stored within the body and how it can cause us to have different medical conditions. So, for example, there is a connection between autoimmune diseases and childhood sexual abuse. There is a type of trauma that is called complex PTSD, which happens when we are exposed to repeated instances of trauma in a powerless situation, for example, being a child or being a Black person in this country or a person of color under systemic white supremacy. Both of those things, or being in the middle of a pandemic and not knowing when the end is coming, right? And it just keeps happening every day. You get new death rates and new this and that. Those three things alone could cause complex PTSD. Complex PTSD can lead to all sorts of physical changes because your body is releasing the stress hormone cortisol, which is affecting your visceral organs. And it's just, everything really is connected. Okay, everything really is connected, and your environment can absolutely influence you physically, and you absolutely can pass those genetic changes down to your children if you do not do something about them. Okay, now when I say do something about them, we can't go in there and edit our DNA, right? But this is why, remember I said I would come back to why it's important to heal. This is part of why it's important to heal, okay? What you eat, where you live, who you interact with, when you sleep, how you exercise, aging, okay? All of these things can cause modifications, all right? Certain circumstances in life can cause our genes to be turned off or turned on, Excuse me, epigenetics is what makes us unique. Why do some of us hate the taste of mushrooms and eggplants? Why are some people more sociable than others, right? The different combinations of the genetics is what makes us who we are. Each of us, individual, who we are. our environment, the people we interact with, the conversations we have, all of those things change our DNA. Who knew? Okay. Now, the good news is it's reversible. Okay. It's reversible. We can go in and make changes to our lives that affect the genetic signatures we pass down to our children. All right. If you've heard of someone being pre-diabetic and they change their diet and they're able to stave off an actual diabetes diagnosis, I mean, that's literally what we're talking about. They made a lifestyle change around their diet and changed their medical condition, right? So this is what we mean. You have so much power within you to heal. You just need to have the courage to do it. All right. This is just a really pretty picture of DNA because I like visuals. It does show how the epigenetics breaks down and works. I'm not going to go into this right now super long, only because we have some more stuff to get to. But epigenetics is truly, truly, truly fascinating. Please, please look it up more, learn more about it. It sincerely is a foundational reason why you would want to heal. Okay, why you would want to meditate, why you would want to eat better, why you would want to, resolve or at least find some peace around your trauma or make peace with your family, whatever. There's your reason. All right. There is your reason. This is just some more pretty pictures. I love the brain and I love human anatomy and cells and all of those things. All right. Somatic memory is connected to what we're talking about, where the body is remembering and keeping the score. So somatic memory is the idea that the body stores memories of deeply impactful events. And you can hear about it in the context of muscle memory, right? Or CPTSD or PTSD. So your body is remembering your stress response. So stress is a physical response to an emotional and mental assessment of stimuli. Okay? It is your body's response to you encountering stimuli and having mental or emotional perceptions about that stimuli and almost making an unconscious judgment call that this is something that should be that needs to have a stress response. All right. So stress response is a physical response to an emotional and mental assessment of stimuli. I love this because it really, if you can truly understand that this is the tangible and the intangible coming together, then you will truly understand that you are a holistic system. You are more than just one sort of person. Okay. You are actually quite miraculous. Okay. Now, this is the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So when we are going through our lives and we get scared and we get, oh my gosh, we're going to die, fight, flight, or freeze, right? Okay. The amygdala is triggered and it triggers the stress response throughout the body. And we're talking about dilated pupils, accelerated heart rate, relaxes the bronchi so that you can breathe and get that air in because you're going to have to run, right? It stimulates the glucose production and release, inhibits peristalsis and secretion, and it increases secretion of adrenaline, noradrenaline. So we know what this is about. This is when we get triggered and our sympathetic nervous system kicks in and says, run, fight, or don't move. Okay. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is the one that we want to activate when we're talking about healing. All right. So the parasympathetic nervous system slows our heart rate. Okay. It allows us to be calm. It basically, in a nutshell, tells your brain you're safe. Right? So, a trick that I give to clients is breathe. Breathe. As you go through this healing journey, whenever you feel like you are hitting a wall, you are scared, you are anxious, you are stressing, breathe. You literally just have to focus on your breathing and make it conscious for it to slow down. Slowed breathing tells your brain and your body that you are safe. Because when we're not safe, we're not breathing slow. When we're not safe, we're right? That kind of breathing increases our stress levels. Okay. So slow, measured, intentional breathing is key to mitigating that stress response and to helping you to feel safe as you uncover all of this stuff that you're going to uncover on this journey. All right. I know y'all seen this chart: anger, fear, disgust, happiness, sadness, surprise, neutral, anxiety, love, depression, contempt, pride, shame, envy. Yeah. Okay. This is the best part. This is my favorite slide. If I'm being 100% honest. So let's talk about it for a second, because I believe that human beings are emotional beings primarily. We're driven by our emotions, which is why my heart goes out to men in our society, because y'all are just not encouraged to deal with your emotions. And that's so heartbreakingly scary, you know, when we are emotional beings at our core. But what happens is that we have beliefs, okay? Our beliefs is what determines our emotional state. So let's say you're in a relationship with someone and you have a belief that they're supposed to be faithful to you. I'm not disagreeing with or agreeing with your belief, but that's your belief that they're supposed to be faithful to you. Monogamy is your thing. That's your bag, right? They decide they're not going to be. That's very hurtful. If you have said, no, this is what I want. So what do? You say, okay, I'm going to go have me a drink and I'm going to go dance on these tables at this bar. So what came first? The hurt, the pain, those are the emotions. Then came the thoughts. This is what I'm going to go do. This is what I should go do. Then came the action of going to the bar, climbing up on the bar or the table and dancing. Now you're in a space where the reality that you're in is you're in a bar, surrounded by people, standing on a table, shaking a tail feather. That's your reality in that moment. That's a reality that you created. You created that reality as a result of a belief that someone should be faithful to you when they're in a relationship with you. And when that belief was not agreed upon, because it's really yours. And again, I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with it, and I'm not condoning them or condoning you or whoever, but it's a belief. And my point is that beliefs lead to choices, which have consequences. Our beliefs guide our behaviors. Our beliefs are foundational to our patterns and our habits. All of those things create your reality, the reality that you see around you. Now, we're quick to be like, we love to claim our victories when something good happens. We're like, oh my gosh, I did this, you did that, I did this, right? Because you did. But you can't claim the victory without claiming the failure. And in claiming the failure, you get to really see how powerful you are. You are actually creating your reality in every minute of every day. I had a blog I wrote. I call it your secret superpower. It's your response ability. It's your ability to respond in any given situation. Not react, but respond. It's that breath in between. Okay? That can be a game changer in terms of creating your reality, because it allows space for you to think about the reality you want. So if somebody steps to you on the street, comes up to you and says, I hate you, calls you the N-word, what have you. There are several options in that scenario, right? You could react. The reaction, if you're actually a person of color or a Black person and someone is calling you the N-word, might be to punch them in the face. That has cascading consequences. Your response might be different, because in your response, you might be able to look at this person and say, oh my gosh, I am married and in love with my partner, and I'm happy, and we have, or not married, just in love with my partner, and we have beautiful children that are brilliant and doing really well with their peers and with school. And you're looking at somebody who is toothless and, has that sort of old crinkly paper skin, and they're calling you the N-word. Reaction dictates you would knock them out. Response dictates you're actually able to see them for who they are. You are creating two different realities depending on your reaction or your response. So I hope y'all can see where I'm going with this, right? So this is the paradox of healing, okay? Is that, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. It's going to do all these things, but you need to be clear about what is actually going on with you, because it is, whether you want it to or not, it's creating your reality. All right. Whether you want it to or not, it is. That's the message. All right. So it hurts to heal. It's deep through healing. Healing is like no joke. It's not for the faint of heart. That's why most people don't do it. That's why most people don't even want to think about it. They're like, I'm fine. But the reality is that those are the same people that will sit there and complain and chew your ear off about all of the things that are wrong in their life. All of the things they want and don't have, the relationships that they want and don't have, the money that they want and don't have, the whatever other materialistic thing that they want that they don't have, and they can't see. But when you say to them, well, maybe it's because maybe you're not a billionaire because you really think all rich people are evil. They'll tell you, no, that's not it. But that actually is it. Because you have two conflicting beliefs going on. You're like, I want to be a billionaire. I could totally be a billionaire. I know I'm brilliant, I'm smart, I'm all these things. I'm dedicated, I'm hardworking, I'm committed. All these things that will make me a billionaire. But in your unconscious mind, because you ain't did the digging, right? You think billionaires and millionaires and rich people are evil. But you don't think you're evil. So how are you going to be rich? How are you going to create that reality if you're not digging into your beliefs, if you're not digging past your anger or, going deep into that space of self-actualization? How are you going to do it? Okay. This is what I'm talking about. This is the second reason why it's so important to embrace your healing journey. Don't be at the mercy of your beliefs unless you consciously know what they are and you're choosing to. Because whether you want to or not, they are creating your reality. All right? So, understand your emotions. Understand how they're impacting your body. Uncover them. Deal with them. Look at your beliefs around them. Okay? Because that is literally creating your world around you. I just love pictures. I'm sorry. But look at how cute this atom is, though. I mean, he's so cute. And look, he's got little electrons flying around him. I mean, just so cute. I needed to share this. Why? Why am I sharing this? Why do you all think I'm sharing this? Because physics has proven that everything is really just vibrating. It's all atoms vibrating. They're all just vibrating around. And everything we look at and everything we see is really just atoms vibrating. Okay. In another workshop, and especially in my coaching work, I go into how this actually all really plays together. But I have a limited time right now. So the atom is vibrating, and it's vibrating at a particular frequency. And so are you. And so, just as a side note, each of these emotions comes with a frequency. So if each of these emotions comes with a frequency, and atoms vibrate based on the frequency, it's kind of where the phrase vibrate higher comes from. Okay. All right. The good news. Healing does not end, but in fact continues throughout our lives. All right. Yeah, it took me a while to really understand this. I literally had an awakening, right? So I had a day that was a moment. Okay. And it's like, oh my gosh, everything's going to be perfect and wonderful after this moment, after this day. And so no, that's not actually what it is. Usually that moment of awakening, that moment of realization is a moment. All right. And it is a guidepost to guide you deeper into where your healing needs to be focused. So frankly, I'm 46. That means I've done a lot, right? So let me knock off 10 years. I probably got 36 years worth of like healing left to do. And that's not counting the 9 months I spent in the womb, having experiences that I wasn't even aware of yet. So healing doesn't end. Okay. It doesn't end. You can expect to have triggers. I think it was Ram Dass, who said, if you think you're enlightened, please go and have Thanksgiving dinner with your family. Right. Because it is always, we can never know the full extent of our mind. Seriously, the divine outdid itself in that respect. All right. Even when you hear about neuroscience and neurology, which I'm fascinated with, they don't even know. There's so much about the brain that they still don't know. So there's so much stuff that we pick up in our unconscious mind that we're not aware of. All right. So I say this because we're coming back to grace. When you have done 5 years of healing, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so cleared out. Oh, I feel so good. And then you get in a relationship and suddenly you're triggered by something and you're like, what? I did this. Yeah, that's where the grace comes in, because you're not done. You're not done. It continues throughout our lives. There's going to be all kinds of things that poke at you, that frustrate you, that make you angry, like the monk in the boat. He's in a whole monastery. He's a monk. And he decided to go out in the middle of a lake and sit there and meditate, and something still managed to piss him off. Listen, I need y'all to give yourselves grace, please. All right? Because the goal of all of this is to peel back these layers, to understand and remember who we really are. And we really are the old cliche spiritual beings having a human experience. All right? We really are. The goal of this experience is to heal, evolve, grow, develop compassion, empathy for other people. It's to have that freedom from suffering, that freedom from the pain, and have that sense of liberation. Okay, why? Because those things allow us to truly love ourselves, to truly love ourselves. And when you really love yourself, oh my gosh, you can't help but see yourself reflected in everyone else. And that leads you to a state of love for everyone else and a state of compassion for everyone else. Okay, and that is the ripple effect. That is the vibrational ripple effect that can, I believe, I still believe, I believe can heal the world. I do. Y'all can tell me I'm having my Pollyanna thinking, but I don't care. I don't care. All right. Humans are amazingly, tragically beautiful entities. Okay. And we have so much that we can do, be, and give to this world. But there's so many of us walking around not loving ourselves and therefore incapable of loving others. All right. So the goal of all of this is to truly love yourself so that you can love other people in a way that you deserve and they deserve. And I'm not just talking about romantic partnerships. Okay. That's it? Nope. Absolutely not. Why? Because there's the why. Why? The most important thing, the most important question you can ever ask yourself is why? Why am I making the choices that I'm making? Why do I feel this way? Why does this affect me like this? Why don't I want to understand my feelings, actions, and emotions? When we ask why, we're forcing ourselves to examine ourselves, and we begin to go down the rabbit hole to discover the root causes of our patterns, our habits, and we begin to understand our why so that we can make different choices. Why? To create a different reality. Yes, that's why. That's why. Okay. So, and for the record, I want to say this. Why do I feel this way? Why am I making these choices? Why does this affect me like this? You know, you can get affirmational responses to that. So it's not like, why does this affect me like this? Is going to be like, because you went through this experience, or and it was horrible and painful. And, you could get a response. Why does this affect me like this? Because you're kind and sensitive and compassionate, and this person is pushing your boundaries. So it's extremely important to ask yourself why. Okay, why am I making the choices that I'm making? You can get a response of because you ain't dealt with your hint, right? Or you can get a response of because I have, and it's time for me to elevate to a next level, and that's why I'm making this choice. All right. So when you ask why, don't expect it to be a bad answer. Don't expect it to be a negative answer. It's just going to be what it is, whatever that is. Okay. And finally, why even try to heal? I told y'all I'll come back. I'm sure I've given y'all some reasons throughout the presentation, but because freedom from pain is worth it. Oh my gosh. Y'all. Ooh, when that weight lifts up off of you, oh my goodness, that sense of liberation that comes from facing those quote unquote demons, right? And I do have quotations around them because they're not actually demons. And then vanquishing them and finally releasing that part is so worth it. It gives you a window into yourself and a vision of how incredibly strong and powerful you are, because you so are. And it balances and empowers your ego to begin to work with you, not against you, okay? Or for you, right? It works with you as opposed to just telling you you're right all the time, no matter what. All right. So these are some of the references that I mentioned, right? So there's Vanderkolk, Body Keeps the Score. And you can look any of these up. There are resources for somatic psychotherapy, emotional freedom technique. Emotional freedom technique is a great way to bridge the physical and the emotional mental. They also call it tapping. I don't know if you've all heard of it, but it's just basically literally tapping on pressure points. There's obviously therapy. In about 7 months, I'll be somebody's therapist. I'm a big proponent of therapy. Coaching, big proponent of coaching too, as an expansion coach. And then there's also other complementary healing modalities that can help you bridge that mind-body connection to really make you feel grounded and connected to yourself. Acupuncture, breath work, the list goes on. So that being said, I wanted to make sure that I took a second to tell you all about the expansion coaching group experience that I have coming up in December. I only have 8 seats available, and there's about 3 that might be gone by midweek. And this is an incredible experience. It's going to be meet once a week for 4 weeks, really dig deep, chakras, challenges for the chakras, shadow work. We will be learning about integration. We'll be learning about transmutation, because the law of transmutation is a gift unto itself. Let me tell you, your whole world changes once you understand that divine principle. And so we're going to cover all of that stuff and more. And it's going to be really good. And then this is just an testimonial from a client I wanted to share with y'all around expansion coaching. I also have my Walk Into Your Purpose program, which is for people. I like to say that the Walk Into Your Purpose program is for people who know they're meant for more, but they don't know what that is exactly. And the expansion coaching is for people who know that they are meant for more. They know what they want to do. They can see what they want to do, but for some reason they cannot get out of their own way to actually do it. So this testimonial is from someone who felt that way, and we did the expansion one-on-one coaching. She calls it a class, but that's fine. We had the expansion one-on-one coaching. And I mean, she's just one of my ultimate success stories. I'm so super proud of her. And the woman that she is leaning into finally, because I've always thought she was amazing. And now she finally realizes how amazing she is and is about to really, really do amazing things out in Detroit. So yeah, listen, please contact me if you are interested in the expansion group coaching experience. If you're interested in expansion coaching in general, one-on-one coaching, and if you are interested in the Walk Into Your Purpose coaching also, to help you figure out which way you want to go and what you want to do. And then contact me, get at me. I think all of my information, I'm always in the group. You can always inbox me. And there's an early bird pricing that was really important. The early bird pricing on the coaching group experience that's happening in December, that is going to be ending on November 22nd. So I wanted to make sure that I told you all about that early bird pricing is 50% off. It's coming in at only $150. And after that, it's going to go up. So I really, really want people to just, step into this amazing space of healing, purpose, and expansion. I cannot tell you how powerful and life-changing an experience healing and really getting to know yourself and the power of yourself, how much it just, I have no words. I feel like I've already said liberating and wonderful and exciting and like every sort of adjective, right? But it really is. And frankly, at the end of the day, it's worth it. Okay? It's worth it. So I can stop sharing now. And yeah. So Drop your questions below. If anybody has any questions, I am here to answer any questions that you may have had throughout the presentation. And other than that, I'm going to give it a few minutes. I don't know. Oh, wait. I'm in the private chat. There we go. There's everybody. All right. I see y'all now. Oh my gosh. You guys were totally commenting this whole time. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This has been an amazing forgiveness versus reconnection. What do you mean when you say reconnection? You're all welcome. Forgiveness. Okay. So you mean like forgive that person and then you reconnect with them, or like, should you reconnect with them? So I hope that's what you mean when you're asking. So, no is the short answer. The short answer is that, I absolutely do work with people in California because it's all remote. The short answer is no. Forgiveness does not mean tolerance. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You can forgive somebody and never speak to them the rest of your day in your natural life, because it's not about them. Okay? It's not about them. It is about you clearing out that space so that you have space for your own healing. So you have space for the emotion that's behind the anger. The emotion that's behind the anger is what needs to be addressed. As long as you're in that space of anger where you can't forgive them, where you can't let it go, then that part of you that deserves to have that light, that deserves to have that healing experience, can't have it. And that, to me, is way more important than being mad at someone. All right? So forgiveness absolutely does not mean you need to reconcile with that person, that you need to reconnect with them, that they need to be in your life. No, some people are so toxic, they don't deserve to be in your life. They have their own healing journey that they're on. All right? And you got to let them walk that. Okay? And it's not to say that you don't view them through the lens of compassion and empathy. You totally can do that. But if you are loving yourself, why would you subject yourself to someone who's not doing the same? Right? Because that's what that's about. That toxicity is about them loving themselves. And if you love yourself, you're not going to subject yourself to somebody who doesn't, because they're not going to treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. All right? So no, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation, and it does not mean reconnection, and it don't even mean tolerance. You can forgive someone and not tolerate the stuff that they're doing to you anymore. Okay? So yes, thank you. No, I'm glad you asked that question, because I meant to actually say that when I was on that slide. That is really, really important aspect of forgiveness. And I feel like society has taught us like, oh, you forgive somebody, let bygones be bygones. Right now, there's a huge discussion around people of color in this country forgiving the 70 million people that voted for 45, right? No, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean reconnection. It means understanding that that person was in their pain when they did that to you, and extending that compassion to them, even from a distance. That's what that means. When the process of healing comes with triggers, what are tactic tips to keep you on the path and not grudge? We often battle with temperament. Yep. How do you manage with balance being key? I do a lot of breathing. I do a lot of breathing. Oh my goodness. I'm literally, once I graduate and I'm somebody therapist, I'm going to go and learn how to really learn breath work, because that breathing changes everything. So I teach my clients how to breathe. I breathe myself. We don't even notice when we're tense, right? So when someone pokes you, okay, and that triggers you, we don't even notice when we tense up. We don't even notice. I know y'all probably seen those memes online that are like, unclench your jaw, Relax your shoulders, right? Because we don't even notice when we're like this, So that being really, really intentional about breathing goes back to activating that parasympathetic nervous system that lets us know we're safe. Because again, the rage is the secondary emotion. Underneath that is, how dare you hurt me again? Or I'm afraid. You know what I mean? So we want to get past that rage. We want to understand what is really going on underneath that rage about that person or that situation. All right? Because that's where the power lies. That's where your power lies. As long as you don't know that, as long as you don't know what's really going on underneath, somebody can keep poking you. And they can keep poking you. And what they're doing when they do that, taking that joy, taking you out of your space, disturbing your peace. They don't deserve to do any of that. They don't deserve to have any of that. Right? They're on their journey. That's fine. They can be on their journey. All right? But it doesn't have to take you out of your journey. So that's the power of forgiveness. The power of forgiveness is reclaiming that, to say, you're not doing that. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not letting you take me out of my peace. I'm happy. I'm healing. I'm looking forward. Why do you keep pulling me to look back? When what's back there can't be changed, it's done. It's forward, right? So it's never about the other person. And when they poke you, do yourself the favor of responding, not reacting, and going deeper to understand your own anger and your own rage. You don't have to talk to them about it. If it's a text message, put your phone down and really think to yourself, what is really going on here? All right. And then once you're able to do that, you're able to really put that space between you and what's happening and reclaim that power of choice, because you have the power of choice. All right. I hope that answered your question, Maria. I can't see, it just says Facebook user, but listen, he is who I am. That's right. That's right. And it is not on you, especially as the child. That's not on you. Okay. And how much of your life are you going to give to that person? That's why I wish I could see your name, because that's a really powerful comment. Don't give up no more of your life to that person. All right. I really hope y'all enjoyed this. I really do. Tori, thank you, Tori. All right. You're welcome, Maria. You're so welcome. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions, so I'm just going to scroll up really fast. If I did miss your question, you can always jump in the group later, tag me, and I will come back and answer it. And yeah, if no one has any other questions, I don't know. Oshim, I guess I'm going to wrap up. It's about 2:15, so that's good timing. And you are very welcome, Rebel Camp. So yes, please reach out to me. You can hit me on the website. I'm in the group, the Rebel Camp. You can also reach out to me there. I would love to expansion coach you. I would love to coach you on your uncovering the many options of your purpose. And I just love to talk in general. Okay. So y'all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And thank you so much, Rebel Camp, for the opportunity. You're so welcome. All righty. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.